everybody. Welcome to our first Trust Tour. We are coming to you live from the Philadelphia Museum of Art. We are so excited to be here and so happy that you're joining us. If this is your first program and if you enjoy the other virtual programs that we've been featuring, please check out the full list of our programs on our website and consider supporting emerging decorative arts scholars as much as you can. We are so happy to be here with Alexandra Kirtley. Try to pre-order her book on Amazon when you can. And without further ado, here she is to give us a farewell tour to the Decorative Arts Galleries at the P&I.
Hello, Decorative Arts Trust friends. I'm Alexandra Kirtley, Curator of American Decorative Arts here at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. And I'm actually standing in closed galleries of American art. As many of you know, we have been planning for the reinstallation of the early American art galleries for a number of years, and construction is nearing completion, and these galleries have been shut down so that we can take some works of art off view, conserve them, and use this as a staging area for our move downstairs to new galleries where we are going to double our square footage size and be able to have much deeper and richer interpretive material and just simply show a broader American art, a better American art, and have better lighting. I was asked what I'm going to miss about these galleries, and one thing I think I will miss is these large lights, which sort of always look like incoming airplanes to me. These galleries were actually opened in 1976 after the Philadelphia Museum of Art had closed for a 10-month period of time, during which they moved the art to the basement, and they had construction projects, conservation projects, and the city of Philadelphia gave to the citizens of Philadelphia air conditioning for the Philadelphia Museum of Art. The galleries reopened in 1976 in these spaces, and we of course showcased the 300 years of American art, the bicentennial show. They were opened, of course, by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. So we are now standing in these galleries, and they have become home to me. I've been here over 19 years, and this is where these are the galleries with which I've worked and have repainted and moved works of art in and out and showcased works of art. So it's a little bit bittersweet, melancholy. It's a new chapter in the Philadelphia Museum of Art, which is an exciting moment. We are open to the public Wednesday through Sunday. We opened on September 6th. You notice, of course, I'm wearing my mask. This is our rule. Everyone inside the building is wearing a mask to protect each other. As Carrie very kindly gave a shameless plug, right now, as we speak, in Spain, the printers are rolling on the Philadelphia Museum of Art's first ever catalog of the early American furniture collection. It's a highlights catalog, 297 pieces of furniture in 200 entries, fully cataloged. So it's a very exciting time. 336 pages, a team, editorial, publishing, American art, of course, and many of the works of art that are featured in the furniture catalog have received treatment from our esteemed and very prominent furniture conservation lab. And this is one of them. This is a high chest that entered the collection in 1923. It came here with much fanfare, was sought after very keenly by Dr. Samuel Woodhouse and Fisk Kimball, who at the time was a director. And it came from a prominent Philadelphia family. It had a very thick covering of black on it. And it had been at Mount Pleasant for many years, which is one of the historic houses that the Philadelphia Museum of Art administers in Fairmount Park. It had been on view there for many years. And it's always been acclaimed as an important high chest. It just was difficult actually to really read the wood, the mahogany. This is not walnut, it is mahogany. It is virtually the mate to a high chest at the Yale University Art Gallery. And that is the high chest on which Alan Miller, the independent scholar and agent, was able to, named the Garvan carver. So this is carved by that same person. As you see, it has fluted quarter columns on the upper case, and on the lower case, the columns are actually unornamented, as are the knees. So it's a very plain base. It is actually signed by its makers, which is something that, while people have known about it, there's somewhat overlooked in the sort of corpus of studies. This is signed by a man named David Kinsey and his colleague Samuel Appleton. I was able to do much research on Kinsey and Appleton. They were partners with, for instance, the carver John Falwell. So it's an important piece of furniture. I really bear down on it closely in the American Furniture Catalog. But one thing I did write about earlier in the year in the magazine Antiques is my interpretation, my reinterpretation of why so many shells show up on high chests like this. And certainly in the 18th century, in the Enlightenment, people were obsessed with shells, and there was a collecting frenzy about them. But what is going on here? And I can stand on these platforms because they're officially defunct. So we have here actually the anatomy of a scallop shell. So you have here the shell itself. You have the internal membranes, the sort of fimbriated membranes, which you see here. And then in the shield, or as collectors call it, the cartouche, what you have is the corolla or the roe, that sort of cabochon. So in my opinion, this actually epitomizes Enlightenment thought by being the anatomy of what was a common foodstuff, as well as the shells, of course, something that was collected very often in the 18th century. So an important high chest in many, many ways, and one that we are so proud to have conserved. Gert van Gerven, who is here at the museum, and the team in the Furniture Conservation Lab treated this several years ago. So as we move around this gallery, a desk and bookcase, Gert and I took a much closer look at the pediment here and figured out that the cartouche or shield that had been there was in fact an 18th century shield, but was not original to this bookcase. And this, of course, has a temple head or pediment, and I believe it probably had either a bust or some sort of vase on it. So we've left it empty. We do not know what it had. Still, of course, a magnificent and treasured chest that came from Anne Willing, 1762, when she married Tench Francis. Moving around the gallery, of course, I can't not stop by the Fox and the Grapes high chest and dressing table. We completed the purchase of the dressing table in 2016. And in the catalog, the upcoming catalog, I give a long, my longest entry, really talking about the significance of Aesop's fable, the Fox and Grapes, here in Philadelphia on the high chest and dressing table, bedroom pieces of furniture, and talk about the relationship here. The dressing table, once it was completed, the purchase for it was completed in 2016. Behruz Salim-Nejad, who's one of our furniture conservators, set about conserving and restoring the carving to the lower rail here. So they really are an important group. And one of the most exciting things about them is how singular they really are. And Allison Tofano and I, Allison is the publications assistant for this, this catalog. She and I spent a lot of time putting together a website, philafurniture.com, in which we actually examine groups of high chest and dressing table based on the shape of their rails, the proportion of the case to the legs. And what we in fact found was that the Fox and Grapes high chest and dressing table has only one, what I would call friend, it has only one friend, and that's a dressing table that's at the Rhode Island School of Design. Every other group, there are hundreds of similarly shaped and designed pieces of furniture. But on the Fox and Grapes, it's just one other friend. There's nobody else in its group. So that's an extraordinary thing. But you can, you'll be able to read my new interpretation of the Fox and Grapes high chest. And I also was able to do a lot more provenance work on the dressing table and trace it back to a possible origin, which is very exciting. We can't not stop by the fabulous Pickle Stand, which was acquired several years after the exhibition that I curated here at the Philadelphia Museum of Art in 2008 on Bonnet and Morris porcelain. It has just returned. It was on loan to the American Revolution Center. And we're just so excited to have it back and see our little pickle stand. You know, they're just 5¼ inches high, made of 72 different individual pieces, and just a wonderful treat. Now in this gallery, what we really concentrate on early Philadelphia, we also have this wonderful nod to Pennsylvania German. And this sort of compare and contrast between an extraordinary piece of cabinetry and sulfur inlaid decoration as compared to the Philadelphia sort of urban British high chest and dressing table is something we will be exploring in one of our largest galleries in our new spaces downstairs. So stay tuned for more of that, and you'll really be able to see how Pennsylvania and the farmlands in southeastern Pennsylvania worked together and created a hybrid. So we'll move into our next space here, our silver gallery. We will continue to have silver in clusters in our new galleries, as well as interspersed throughout. We've also taken a period room on our second floor, and we'll be installing the silver collection mainly that was given to us by Robert L. McNeil, Bob McNeil, one of our great collectors and benefactors. In here, we're also looking at a great sightline of our Butaca chair made in Campeche, Mexico, with a very strong Philadelphia history, and purchased in 2012 and given to us. Wonderful to have that. So something I might miss about these galleries is this little space, this little niche, which we call in my department as a shorthand, the study case. And it's really meant to be a place where we can put things, experiment with, compare and contrast different works of art. And then here right now, I have a concentration of New England furniture. So for instance, our fabled high chest made in Newport, Rhode Island, wonderful proportions signed by not only Christopher Townsend, but his son, John Townsend. As well, an early Rhode Island chest over drawers, and a recent gift to us, an important Windsor settee made not in Philadelphia or Boston or Rhode Island, but in Boston. A chair made by James Graham. We have a chest, a Bombay chest on loan from the Wunsch Foundation. We move forward, we come into federal Philadelphia, when Philadelphia was the capital. We're missing, of course, the staircase group, which is in conservation. As well, you can see our painting of Yarrow Mammut, or Charles and Peel painting of Yarrow Mammut is also off the wall. It is in conservation, getting ready for its debut down in the new galleries. This is one of my favorite acquisition stories. This is a chest on chest or double chest or pair of drawers, as they were most commonly called in 18th century Philadelphia. This design is featured in the 3rd edition of The Director by Chippendale. It is basically pirated by Hepplewhite, and you see it in Hepplewhite. And then the design is also explicated in the 1811 Philadelphia Furniture Price Book. This was acquired by a Baltimore collector in the 1960s, who purchased it thinking it was John Shaw. She had just given a desk and bookcase to the White House that is John Shaw. So she went out and bought a chest on chest that she thought was John Shaw. She decided she would like to give it to the Maryland Historical Society, which is now the Maryland Center for History and Culture. And she called up Gregory Weidman and Stiles Caldwell, and they came and started taking it apart. And they said, you know, there's just something about it that doesn't quite look Maryland, doesn't quite look like Shaw, doesn't look Baltimore. So they found on the bottom, Thomas Gross, maker. And they called, this is in 1983, they called Beatrice Garvin, the former curator here, and said, have you ever heard of Thomas Gross? She said, no, I've never heard of him. She went into the directories and looked him up. And sure enough, there was Thomas Gross in the back, a free black cabinet maker. A free black cabinet maker. Well, Mrs. Legum, her name was Naomi or Pudgy Legum, decided to give it to the Philadelphia Museum of Art. She had never had any relationship with us. And in fact, she was known for that. In my entry for this, I cite her obituary that says that she was known for her incredible generosity to institutions with which she actually never had any relationship, such as the PMA. It's a wonderful, wonderful story, and from a fine collector of a broad range of works of art who had this, and it happens to be, have been made by a free Black cabinet maker here in Philadelphia. And to me, it represents the work of free and enslaved Africans here in Philadelphia, here in America, who contributed on all parts of making furniture, decorative arts, paintings, as upholsterers, as painters, as ornamenters, as carvers, as joiners, carpenters, whatever aspect. And it represents their anonymous work, which is totally conscripted and anonymous. And here, Thomas Gross, a free Black cabinet maker, has listed it as Thomas Gross. What I love most about his signature is he writes maker underneath of it. So very proud and honored to have that here in our collection. We're going to turn the corner here. And this is our latest gallery. So this is furniture made in the classical style, beginning about, say, well, 1808. And we'll start here, of course, with the walnut furniture. Everybody, the Decorative Arts Trust actually co-sponsored the symposium on this in 2016 when Peggy, Ollie, and I put together the Classical Splendor painted furniture for a grand Philadelphia house. And here we have just a settee, the sideboard, and 2 of our 7 chairs. But what I will tell you is that here you see them on a platform. In the new spaces, we will return to the drawing room, the painted drawing room with the wonderful carpet, everything, the setting, the context that really was Henry Latrobe's vision for this furniture. It will be a permanent installation in our new galleries. That sort of contextual installation was quite popular during the exhibition, and people loved to look at the furniture in the morning light, the midday light, and the evening light to remember how lighting, especially period lighting, candlelight, and natural light affected how furniture looked, especially furniture like this, which is painted with yellow and gold and has silk and gold threads throughout. So that will be, I think, an especially popular feature of the new galleries. We're turning here to a piece of furniture that was made by a man named Anthony Gabriel Carvel, who was a Parisian trained artist who came to Philadelphia in about 1817. And one thing I will not miss about these galleries is the height of the platform. I always call them sort of platforms on steroids. They're just these huge platforms, and they make furniture like this appear over life size. So here I'm going to step up again. So while this is a large bookcase, the secretary itself and the desk height is actually a correct height. It's a 28-inch height. It is not overhuman. This secretary bookcase was made in 1827 for the Franklin Institute's annual competition, where it won the silver medal. Anthony Carvel has actually 5 labels throughout here, all with a little header about how it won the silver medal from competent judges at the Franklin Institute. The silver medal is first place, or it was first place in the Franklin Institute's annual competition of arts and manufacturers. So it won first place. It also has several secret drawers throughout it. So that's a special piece. And I should also talk about the upholstery behind it. The blue was actually discovered when we were putting curtains behind the glass. The seamstress noticed that there was blue thread underneath a lot of the original nails. And so we knew, and she was able to actually work out the box pleating on that. So, and the blue silk matches the blue tooled leather inside. So that was done about 2003. Now we're going to move over here to the corner and look at a secretary bookcase made definitely a different scale than the Carvel piece. This was actually for a bedroom. This was for a bed chamber, and that was for the Van Sickle family. Sarah, Belinda, and Elijah Van Sickle of Philadelphia. They were liquor merchants. And they had an entire bed suite of furniture of this, in this style, all made together. And it was offered to the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Well, Beatrice Garvan said, oh my goodness, there's no possible way that we at the museum could ever display that together. And therefore she said, no, thank you to the gift. And they said, well, how about just one piece? And she said, okay. So she chose the secretary bookcase, which she later described as the kickiest of the pieces of furniture. And when we brought it back to the museum in 1979, they took the bookcase section off of the secretary section. And in fact, it's the only piece that the maker signed. His name was Isaac Jones, and he worked in Philadelphia in the 1830s. One of the things I love about this, well, I guess there's a lot I love about it, but it has sort of all the tools in the decorative trade book have come out. So there's decoration on the wooden handles, a paper mache decoration. There's the gilt stenciling to mimic inlaid brass work. There's of course the ormolu mounts. There's the carving and the gilding. Just everything has come out. It also, of course, references all the ancient cultures of the Mediterranean, even from Babylon sort of westward. So Roman, Egyptian, Assyrian, Greek, certainly. So it has all sorts of references to it. But my favorite aspect of it is actually the feet. So very typically of this period, it has these lion's paw feet in the front and turned feet at the rear. But on these feet, the toes are sort of splayed outward. They're flexed outward. I don't have cats, but Carrie does. And she says that's a happy cat when cats open their feet like that. And to me, it just looks like these feet are sort of holding up the weight of this secretary bookcase. So that's a favorite piece in here. And as I look around the galleries, I'm also just thinking about how we will have so much more space and so much more interpretive ability. And so for right now, you are not able to come into our galleries to see these. They will be on view again, of course, when we reopen the galleries in early 2021. But what you can see right now is the Dietrich installation. So the Dietrich American Foundation, we're celebrating a wonderful 50-year relationship with them. And we have an exhibition that is open until November. And so I please urge you to come see that and honor the collecting legacy of H. Richard Dietrich Jr. Okay.
So we do have a few questions that we got from some members prior to this tour that I will share with you now. That was amazing, by the way. I just feel so excited that we got to share this gallery one more time with everyone, but we are also looking forward to your upcoming publication. And we got a question online from Bob Trent.
Okay.
If you could go into any more detail on some of the new discoveries that you made while researching for this catalog.
You know, I thank Bob Trent for the question about the new discoveries. There were so many, and a lot of it is about context and putting furniture in the context of where it was in not only Philadelphia, but within the artisanry community, and how Philadelphia really responded and America really responded to the styles that were coming out of Europe. And basically we're pretty neck and neck. So the Philadelphia Museum of Art's collection is very strong in Philadelphia. We have an amazing collection of Southeastern Pennsylvania. And then the book is divided with the other sections. We have New England and New York, and then the South. So there are 4 main sections. I'm trying to think of some of the discoveries, I can't really think of one in particular, but because they're all still sort of swimming around. We just literally started printing about a week ago, so it's very exciting, and they're still all going. I'm sure he could probably tell me what he thought was one of the important ones. I mean, I would say that David Kinsey, who's the joiner who made the high chest that I started off with, it was a nice discovery to find that he was first cousins with Benjamin Randolph. So, those sort of connections that we're able to make, especially in today's digital world. One other aspect of the catalog that I'm proud of is having included women in the provenances. So I spent hundreds of hours poring over provenances and digging into the provenances and making sure that I included the women who owned these pieces of furniture. And what that did was really open up my understanding of how these pieces descended. But just by exploring the other half of an ownership, oftentimes opened up the line of original ownership. So that's something I'm especially proud of in the book. It took up, it adds a lot to the pieces.
No one does provenance research quite like Alexandra Kirtley, so I'm sure it will be amazing. And what will you miss about the current installation?
Well, what will I miss? I think just a familiarity. So for instance, if somebody's offering me something, or if somebody is, or if I'm looking to acquire something, to purchase something from a dealer at an auction house, I think I will miss sort of the familiarity of knowing exactly where I can put it. I mean, I won't miss the fact that so many visitors come through here, and it because the interpretation is loose, right? That they miss it. So I think that when we have a stronger interpretation, it will be better. And we are committed to reinstalling and rotating the works of art, because sometimes, especially for high chests and dressing tables, for instance, like the Fox and Grapes high chest and dressing table will always be on view. But for others, we have like 7 behind it, 7 sets, 7 pairings of high chest and dressing tables within like a 30-year period. So I've worked hard on beefing up that collection. Yeah. So we have lieutenants lined up behind things, but the interpretation will be better. And, but there's of course a familiarity here. I sort of grew up curatorially here. I came here as a 30-year-old curator. So.
Yeah. No, it's exciting to see, and I'm sure it'll be amazing to see what kind of lieutenants you bring out. So. Yeah. And you spoke a little bit about this, but what are some of your goals with the new installation?
Yeah, so the interpretation for every aspect of the collection, for instance, on the other side of this wall is the former, it was a Tucker Gallery, and then it became the Presidential China Gallery of Robert L. McNeil. And David Barquist, my colleague in my department, really oversees that, but this has no interpretation, and he'll be able to interpret it so that people can really understand this, and it'll be good to use the works of art as touchstones, really, to understanding the history of art, and to be able to put decorative arts, of course, at the forefront there, is always exciting. But at this museum and in other museums, American art is one department: paintings and sculpture and decorative arts. So especially curatorially, professionally, we're very much one. So
what's a piece that you spoke a lot about some of the most fabulous pieces in the collection, but what's a piece that maybe gets overlooked that we should all check out online during our free time?
Oh my. That's a great question. I mean, I would say that some of the pieces that have not been on view here in these galleries, which now that we have them closed off, I'm like, wow, they are so small.
Right.
I mean, wow. So I'm really looking forward to more space. But for instance, like painted furniture from Baltimore, we have actually a great collection of painted furniture from Baltimore that is not, is something that is not seen. And that being said, I should give a plug for Winter Tour's upcoming furniture forum, which will address a lot of painted furniture from Baltimore and the upper South, I should say. But I think that is one. We have made great acquisitions, and with the furniture catalog, we've also been able to have all photography. Gavin Ashworth and our own photo studio did the photography, and so the photography online has really, really improved. But that being said too, some of our early ceramics, I mean, we are the inheritors, so to speak, of Edwin Notley Barber's collection of early ceramics. So some of those do tend to get overlooked, and those are something that David Barkas in particular has worked hard to forefront some of our stoneware and breadware collections in our new galleries.
And when do the new galleries open? When can people anticipate getting to see those?
So, we're saying early 2021. And at this point, I think that we're looking at sort of, at this point, a late March, early April 2021 opening. And of course, a lot of that has to do with COVID and when it is safe to have such an opening. We are beginning to install in November. So we will be ready when the public it is safe to bring everybody in. So construction has moved along well, and we're ready. We're ready to open.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
all of your support in this amazing tour. I know all of our members and everyone who could be here today will have severely enjoyed this experience. And if
you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me.
There's a few Zoom questions.
Oh, okay.
Do you have time for that?
Sure.
Well, one quick question is, where can we get the catalog?
So the catalog is available as a pre-order on Amazon at this second, but it will be also available for pre-order on our website later this week. They will be arriving. We have an early shipment coming in about, let's say the 15th. So in about 5 weeks, actually, a little less than 5 weeks, we will have an early shipment arriving here in Philadelphia. But the majority of them will be ready for distribution in early November. So yes, put it on your holiday list for you and everyone you know.
Are you planning on showing any of the pieces open in the new installation?
Yes, we definitely are. So we're hoping to have the signature drawer of the Thomas Gross pair of drawers out. That we're working with conservation on that because it's a delicate, it's a graphite, so it's delicate. But yes, we will definitely be having things open, and we'll also be having videos, hopefully showing them working, including a clock, a musical clock that plays 5 hymns. So we will have that running so that people can understand and remember how extraordinary it must have been to hear musical clock like that.
And what percentage of American objects will you be able to display?
Oh dear. Yeah. Well, that's a tough question. And I think that we'll certainly have more on display than we do now. But we will also be having textiles and fraktur on view. And so those, of course, are not in my department, but I don't know, my collections assistant is around the corner and she might know that number exactly. But, we work hard to have as much out as possible. At the same time, we don't want to overwhelm the galleries and make it so that when people walk in, they just sort of shut down visually. But we will definitely have more out than we do now.
Can't wait to see it. And again, make sure you pick up her catalog online if you enjoyed this program and you want to attend other Decorative Arts Trust programs. Please visit our website and register in advance. It's really great for us to have all of those registrations. And thank you again, Alexandra. That was amazing.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and I'm so glad to support the Decorative Arts Trust, and certainly the Emerging Scholars Program, which are so central to what we do.
All right, thanks everybody and have a lovely day. I'll see you soon. Bye.